Why was teaching considered women's work during the late 19th century? When did teaching become dominated by women? And what did this look like and why? Public education in the U.S. began with men at the helm of policymaking and of the classroom. Joanne Preston, in her article, Domestic Ideology, School Reformers, and Female Teachers, in the New England Quarterly, explained that this was due to men being seen as strong, stern, and intellectually superior to women. Men were seen as having greater self-control and the ability to control others, thus the better leader of a classroom. Preston details an ideological shift that happened in the mid-1800s. In the early part of the century, teachers were expected to be intellectual and stoic, but midway through, an ideal teacher came to be seen as nurturing, gentle, and moral. Catherine Beecher was a substantial influence in this shift. Beginning with a desire for the higher education of women, ostensibly to moralize them and enhance their character, Beecher eventually strongly advocated for their roles as teachers in common schools. In many letters and publications to follow, she proclaimed that the inherent nature of women, maternal and affectionate, made them ideal teachers. In The Elements of Mental and Moral Philosophy, she asserted that women were morally superior due to their submissiveness and servitude. And in Essay on Slavery, she suggests that women should teach for the sake of domestic virtue. Others, including Mary Lyon, Emma Willard, and even Horace Mann's successor in Congress, Barnes Sears, insisted that the shift in the teaching profession toward women teachers necessitated opportunities for higher education. Male school reformers, including Horace Mann, utilized Beecher's conception of women as ideal teachers because of their pure, moral, and nurturing character. Without evidence, Mann, in the 10th Massachusetts School Report, maintained that women were expert disciplinarians due to their dignity and affection. However, many school reformers claimed that women's virtue meant they didn't seek higher pay. They were eager to capitalize on what they considered the submissive, self-sacrificing nature of women to sell their ideas of public education to small, under-resourced communities where women would work for little pay and with few materials. Henry Barnard summarized the thoughts of many of the 19th century, particularly the educational reformers. Heaven has plainly appointed females as the natural instructors of children. Richard Rust, New Hampshire's Commissioner of Common Schools from 1848 to 1850, went so far as to proclaim that women are ideally fitted for 4 of 7 characteristics of educators. He claimed that women possessed kindness, affection, patience, and purity of character, but not literary acuity, aptness to teach, or the ability to govern. While the view of women as docile, pure, righteous, and self-sacrificing dominated public discourse and paved a way for education to become occupied by female teachers, it may not have described those women who actually taught. Joanne Preston analyzed letters by women who were teachers during the 19th century. They point to women who struggled with discipline issues, who were unhappy with their low pay and pitiable working conditions, who enjoyed teaching because of the intellectual development it provided them, who pursued intellectual pursuits outside of the classroom, and who engaged in political discourse, desiring to be heard in public forums. Additionally, Christopher Spann and James Anderson, in The Quest for Book Learning, present abundant evidence of freed and enslaved Black people teaching children, despite anti-literacy laws and schools that were designated for white students only. While the stereotype of the ideal teacher was narrow, the reality was very broad. Women's move into a dominant role in education during the 19th century was an important cultural shift, but it did not signify equitable beliefs about or treatment of women. Thanks to inaccurate and unsubstantiated assumptions about women, exploited by both women seeking greater power and men seeking to spread their ideas about education, the ideal teacher shifted from strong and intellectual to nurturing and self-sacrificing. And while there have been great strides in society's assumption about and treatment of women since then, inequities in power and pay continue to persist.